my first time getting hit on in Home Depot, and he's not even attractive.
Yeah, the bird's eye view in that video is definitely not intentional. Nice ankh necklace, by the way. I'm sure you're super Egyptian. And we're back down. Couple things here. Number one, you said finally. Was it a goal? You just been doing laps around the pro desk there, hoping a 45-year-old general contractor is gonna make you wife number 4? He wasn't even attractive. Just goes to show that the difference between harassment and flirting is a push-up and a haircut away. Side note, that might not work for all of you. Some of you have to get real funny real fast, but I digress.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm here all the time. So for all you people who are like, go to Home Depot, that's where all the men are. No, they're not.
I'm gonna need you to pump the brakes there, Pumpkin Spice. I'm sure your Pinterest project at home is the real bee's knees, but the depot is heavily male-dominated. And what is wrong with that guy? Trying to pick up one project while he's already hired to do another one? That's just bad business practice, if you ask me. Anyway.
All right, so this could be fake. We don't know. But because this woman put this on the internet for everybody to see, let's just attack this like it's real. According to this woman, she goes out to the hardware store and she finally, after some period of time, gets hit on. And she says that the guy is not hot. Now, like I said, we don't know if this is real, but we're just attacking it like it is. This, if it is real, this is exactly why men have stopped hitting on women. And this is why I tell you guys, just focus on your money and stop approaching these women. Like, definitely stop online dating. But if you're still cold approaching and just walking up to women, don't do this. Because when they say they want to get approached, they don't want to get approached by normal, regular guys. They don't want the guy who's 5'8", 5'9", 5'10". They don't want the guy who does a couple of push-ups but has a dad bod. They don't want the guy who didn't cut his hair that day. They want the guy who's 6'2", he looks like Henry Cavill. They want the guy who's perfect. Like, they have a fantasy in their mind, and you need to fulfill that fantasy. They want it to be serendipitous. They want to be the housewife, the ex-housewife, or the mom, or whatever. They want to be the woman at the hardware store, and some guy just walks up to her, and she's just so beautiful, and he's just so smitten, he has to interrupt his whole day for her. At the end of the day, it's complete narcissism. It's complete foolishness. Like I said, it could be fake, but if it's real, it's narcissism, it's foolishness. It's a waste of your time, because in her own mind, and by her own admission, by her own words, it's only worth it if the guy is hot. So what happens when the normal guy walks over to you, right? What happens when the guy who's 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", he walks over there, he's a objectively good guy, right? He makes decent money, but he's just not super tall, super handsome. All of a sudden, that's where you get your harassment claims. That's where she hops on the internet and she starts talking about this gross guy hit her up, or she starts talking about how men need to, refine their pickup game, and how you don't need to be approaching women in parking lots and all this and all that. Just stop it. Do not cold approach these women. They have said for years, they have said for at least a solid decade that they don't want men to approach them. Okay, so since they've said that from the rooftop, screamed it loud and proud, and nobody pushed back. Nobody pushed back until Andrew Tate came out. Nobody pushed back until Kevin Samuels got big. Nobody pushed back against that. And when I say nobody, I'm talking about women. No women were pushing back until Fresh and Fit went viral 1,000 times. Since no women wanted to push back on that narrative of don't approach us, okay, in 2025, stop approaching them. Go your own way. Let them be single into perpetuity, because they don't want you no ways.
No one can hold Black women accountable. Black women, unfortunately, we have adopted this mentality that I can do whatever I want to do and can't nobody tell me anything. And this is why we are where we're at. We live in a very selfish, egotistical society now that nobody cares. If you're a Black woman and to hold Black women accountable, you have to be ready to fight, because it's going to come with a lot. I'm always thinking about how young girls are being influenced. So what us grown women are doing is influencing these girls to do these out of control, I don't care attitudes. They have the most disgusting attitudes, and you can't even check them because they have their moms who say I could do whatever I want. So can't no one hold us accountable. Not a Black man. Your white boss probably, that's probably the only one who can tell us what to do because he pay us. A gay man can tell us what to do. If it's a Black woman or a Black man, a straight Black man, we don't want to hear it.
What this woman is talking about is 100% accurate. She's talking about Black women not being held accountable, or, I guess they can't be held accountable by anybody. She goes on to say that a person's boss can hold them accountable, or maybe a gay person. But I want you guys to swap out black woman for just woman in general, because, you know, I don't know the racial makeup of the people who watch my channel, but I can almost guarantee you, if you are white, you already know white women can't be held accountable any more than black women. If you're Hispanic, you certainly know Hispanic women might grow up in a particular household that preaches, you know, family values and stuff, but you really can't hold them accountable. Like black women, white women, Hispanic women, Asian women, if they are Americanized, they all have a stereotype of unaccountability or having a bad attitude. Like the Asian women, they got the Asian baby girl syndrome where, you know, they're used to being spoiled and they want so much. They're hyper materialistic. Persian women as well, right? It's not just black women. It's all women. And it's crazy that she actually mentions the fact that it starts from their childhood. These women have moms. Their mothers are oftentimes single mothers by choice, right? They went out there and they slept with the wrong guy and they let that guy, you know, shoot up the club. They get pregnant. That guy either doesn't stick around or they drive the guy off. And then they're a single mom growing up on Section 8 or, you know, just struggling as a single mom. And what happens? You can't hold that woman accountable. No way, no how. She's a single mother, princess warrior. Everything she says is right and true. It's a whole laundry list of things that goes through this woman's mind, that come out of her mouth, and that are done by her hand that she just will not take any accountability for. Now, yeah, she'll go to that job and she'll submit to that boss, but she ain't going to submit to no man. So this woman's 100% spot on. You cannot hold modern women accountable, black, white, or otherwise. You can't use religion, right? You absolutely can't use religion. They're going to say that you're some sort of abusive if you use religion. The laws don't really hold them accountable. You know, there's all kinds of ways that women can get away with putting their hands on you, alienating you from your kid. There's all kinds of things. This idea that we're going to turn back the hands of time and go back to a time where women were held accountable, that's dead and gone, and it is never coming back.
This is what I've realized about interviewing almost 3,000 y'all.
Yeah.
You guys all want to say that you're special and different. You guys dislike general assessments of how things work, because what it does is it puts you in a box with a bunch of other people, and women like to feel special. But the cold reality is that you're not special.
To you.
See, of course.
I just say, you know, I had to add that in there.
But the reality is that you guys are way more similar than you guys think you are. That's what I think. That's where the issue lies. Is that like men are okay with this? Like we are okay with all thinking the same and having a very similar system
That's
mindset.
a problem.
It's actually not. Makes things. That's why men are extremely easy to please.
Realistic.
But women, on the other hand, have this crazy mindset that like I'm different from every other chick, and I'm special. And that's actually what fucks women up so much, is that they think that they're different and special. But the reality is a lot of you guys are the same.
Okay, you guys, I don't know how many people watch Fresh and Fit. I used to watch them really big back in the day. And, you know, then I kind of grew out of it. You know, they do the same content over and over. And I've always said, or I've recently been saying, that we kind of have to move on from the stereotypical, you know, talking points of hypergamy and body count and all this and all that. But for all of that I've said, this guy's not wrong. When it comes to women, 100% of them, they think that they are one of one. I've never met a woman who would openly admit that she's average, that she's regular, that she's mundane. Most women believe that they are one of one and that God broke the mold when she was made, and that you'll never find another girl just like her. It's absolute hogwash. It's absolute delusion. And like he goes on to say, men understand that we are not that dissimilar. We're all pretty much basic, and we have to strive to, you know, make ourselves stand out. And that's actually part of the biological imperative. Women do absolutely everything they can to fit in to social construct. This is actually where, you know, shaming language and cancel culture come from. This is why women will say all bodies are beautiful, you're beautiful at any size. You'll never see women going to war with fat women. You'll never see the skinny girl saying, I'm better than the fat girl. You'll never see women telling you what an ugly woman is. They'll tell you what an ugly man is, but they'll never tell you what an ugly woman is. They just think that they're all beautiful. And that's just because if they say in unison, if they say with the hive mind, we are all beautiful, then nobody gets left behind. But by that same metric, that makes them all the same. It makes them all basic. It makes them all interchangeable and replaceable. But the bigger point is that, like I said, men know that they have to go out there and they have to do things to separate themselves from the pack. Life is not like, we don't get to walk around in unison. We don't get to walk around holding hands and saying all men are tall, all men are good looking. It's like, no, you're a loser over here. You guys to the right are losers. You guys over there to the left are losers. And I'm the king. Like you have to do things to separate yourself from everyone else. Now you can have allies, but generally when you have a friend group, you don't see a bunch of alphas, right? These so-called quote unquote alpha males, when you actually run into these guys in the wild, these guys are almost insufferable because everything's a competition. They're always, jockeying for a position. They're always trying to see who's the best and who's better at this and who's better at that. And they're kind of almost insufferable. And you just, typically every man knows who the hot guy is. Every man knows who the rich guy is. Every man knows who the ladies' man is. Every man knows his place in a male friend group. In a female friend group, nobody knows their place. Everybody thinks they're the hot chick. If you walk up to a group of women and there's an objectively hot woman and you start talking to her, all the other women are going to get pissed off and they're going to block her and they're not going to let you have that conversation because they all think that they're special. Now, if you walk up to the objectively fat chick or the objectively unattractive chick, they'll let that conversation go on. Why? Because they know that she's the ugly chick. It's like subconsciously women know, but they just don't want to say it out loud. They're just being agreeable.
You guys love to say and complain about women and hookup culture and this, that, and the third. What if men just raise your standards and you guys stop sleeping with everyone? Then maybe your lives wouldn't be so difficult. You keep complaining about, this and that in the hookup culture and saying that we control hookup culture by if we don't sleep with you guys. No, how about you guys stop sleeping with everybody and that'll be the fix you want to see.
Well, here's the difference I would kind of point out to that. You say you guys, but what I would argue is when it comes to hookup culture, it's actually a fairly small proportion of men that you could say are responsible. I think what's going on in hookup culture is you have women who are chasing after the top 10, top 20% of men. They're sleeping with all the women and then the rest of the guys are lonely.
When I tell you guys to not listen to women, to disregard what they say, I don't do that because I say women are bad people or they're unimportant or this or that. I just say it because they're very unserious people. They're kind of like children. Now, keep in mind, I'm not trying to say this in a demeaning way. I'm just saying it in the way that, a child doesn't understand the concept of paying bills. Even if you work a job where you get paid by the hour, your kid does not understand the concept of taxation. So if you get paid $30 an hour or whatever, your kid can tabulate how many hours you work and, you get paid every 2 weeks and they think that's what you take home. They don't understand taxes, right? And it's the same thing with women. They do not understand the world they live in because the world they live in is alien to men. Or I guess I should say the world men live in is alien to them. It's just like the guy Brian was laying out. How many men can actually participate in hookup culture, right? Have no concept of all the men they swipe left on. They only understand the men that they swipe right on. So they'll swipe right on 10 guys and then they'll have full access to those guys. They can go on dates with those guys. They can get sex from those guys. They can probably even get relationship from about 60% of them, or at least get some sort of ongoing thing. So that's what they think all men are doing. They just blindly associate it with, oh, these men are all men, right? And so this woman is saying that the men need to change. First and foremost, yeah, I agree. If men weren't watching Prawn and they weren't, giving women so much validation on stuff like TikTok and Instagram and, only OF, right? Yes, that would solve a large degree of the problem. The issue is the overwhelming majority of consumers of OF are actually married men. Now, when it comes to, corn, and, I can't say the real word, when it comes to corn, everybody is kind of consuming it. Men, women, boys, girls, married people. It's being consumed by everybody. Then you get online and you see TikTok and Instagram, and it's mostly guys of all demographics that are liking these women's pictures and stuff like that. But when it comes to the actual hookup culture, it's only the elite. It's only the best of the best. And women know this. I say women are oblivious to it, and they are, but at the same time, they know, because they know how many men they just walk by on a daily basis that they would never look twice at. Most of these women wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire, right? Or I should say, they wouldn't spit on most men if that guy was on fire. They would just walk past them. Women are not dumb, but they are somewhat oblivious. This is why I tell you, don't listen to what they say. There's a path you need to walk. There's something you need to do in order to make yourself successful. And for the most part, avoiding these women and not taking them serious is going to be a part of that process.
I'm telling you that there's a race that was miles before this thing even got here. Like, the man had to build himself up through a journey to get the money, to get the status, to get the charm, to get the charisma, to get the confidence. Like, when you see a man and you meet him, that's our manifestation of his experiences, his trials and tribulations, him becoming the individual that you see in front of you. We have to build ourselves up to get to that point where we're even seen by women. Most guys are virtually invisible.
Okay, so I have often posed the question to people who debate me or question me on how I feel about women and how I feel about, marriage and dating and things like that. I've often posed the question of what is love? And I'll always say, can you tell me what love is, what it looks like from a man to a woman? Meaning, what is a man supposed to do in order to show that he loves a woman, right? And they'll be able to tell me start to finish, right? They'll be able to list a great many things. Okay, fine. I have no issues with that. But then when you reverse the order and you say, now, tell me what love is from a woman to a man, they can't tell you what it is. They can't tell you what it looks like. At best, they can tell you some open-ended things. They'll tell you, all this stuff. Oh, it's love. It's support. They'll say stupid stuff like it's support. It's emotional. Everything they say is a non-tangible. It's something that can't be counted. It's something that can't be touched. It's something that can't be held or measured, right? And, that's a whole other thing for a whole other time. But the reason I bring that up is because of what Myron was saying. There's a race that is run prior to a woman and a man getting together. And oftentimes what we'll say, especially if you're a man and you have a sister, if you're a man and you have a daughter, if you're a man and you have a mom, and those people are dating, you already understand that one of the major forms of love from a man to a woman is that man show up with a full bank account, or at least a sizable bank account, and a job such that he can offer the woman in your life a future. Now, we can all agree with this. We don't want our daughters to struggle. We don't want our sisters to struggle with some bum. We don't want our mom, if she's dating in her later years, to struggle with some bum. Everybody can agree to that, right? And there's no problem with that. This is why we tell men to go out there and work and earn. Now, what is love from a woman to a man? In recent years, we've started saying we want a woman who has a virgin womb and she has an unindoctrinated mind such that she can get on board with my program and she can build with me and she can have my legacy and she will do as I say and we can build something together. That just blows women's minds when you tell them that. They literally think that love from them to you is them showing up however they see fit, and that love from you to them is you showing up with the traditional masculine traits, the money and the job. They don't get it. They don't get that we have to do all these things in the name of love. In the name of love, you go to college. In the name of love, you go to college and you study to get a career and to get money that you can give to some woman and some kids. You do that in the name of love. Women don't understand that. They do it in the name of independence, girl boss, girl power, all of that. They have no concept of doing for someone other than yourself. Men are in high school being indoctrinated to go to college or to go to the military or to go into the trades to get a good job so they can have a good future. But what does a future typically entail in America? It means getting a wife and having the kids. So we are told from day one, you need to succeed. Why? So you can give your wealth to someone else. That's what love truly is. It's a burden of performance. But with women, there's no burden of performance. Love that comes from a woman to a man is just her having a pulse. Does she have a pulse? Yeah. Okay, she loves you. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It honestly feels like the last year or two. That's where my life started and where I should start, because the woman that's in front of you right now has been a work in progress and is still a work in progress. And I feel like I've been my most authentic and purest form of myself in the past year or two. Like, the closer to today we get, the more secure I feel in who I am and who that person is. But to answer that question, like a year or two.
Let's start at the end then, which is today.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have Miss Mia Khalifa. Now, I'm sure everyone knows exactly who Mia Khalifa is. She shares the same name as one Wiz Khalifa, but there's no relation. However, there's a similarity. They are both massive performers. One person's a rapper. The other one, well, she uses a different kind of microphone, if you know what I mean. Miss Mia Khalifa, I don't know exactly when she got famous, because I've been seeing pictures of her and videos of her for a very long time. It's 2025. I'm going to assume she got famous around 2012, 2013 or something like that. Not too sure. But she got famous about a decade ago for a library video. And from there, her career just took off. She made millions of dollars in the adult film industry. And then, she was only there for a little bit of time. And she pressed the eject button. And now she's on her podcast tour and she's talking about, essentially repackaging herself. Now, the funny thing here is Mia Khalifa has been married and divorced twice. She was able to find two simps that will marry her. They both married her. They both divorced her. It's a story as old as time. However, I want you guys to understand, Mia Khalifa is not alone in her attempts to repackage herself. While she's not going to be successful at doing this because everybody has seen her videos, like the internet is essentially written in stone. It is absolutely forever. While she's trying to repackage herself and she's 100% going to fail, the normal civilian woman is not going to fail. I need you guys to understand, there is a woman that you either go to school with if you're in college. There is a woman that you work with. If you're in the military, there's 100,000% a woman on your base that you are crushing on, right? There's some woman at your local bar. There is some woman that you have access to or you have proximity to that you're talking to, that you're going to talk to. Maybe you're going to swipe right on Tinder or whatever. And there's some woman that you're going to have a romantic interest in. I want you to understand, if that woman is over the age of 25, everything she tells you is an attempt to repackage herself. There is almost no difference between her and Mia Khalifa other than whose material is readily available with the press of a button, right? It's all of them. The internet has allowed women to market themselves. They can get out there on, Instagram. They can get out there on TikTok. They probably have private Instagram pages where they make money that you don't know about. They're obviously on Tinder, on Bumble and Hinge and all of that type of stuff. These women are out here. And what they're going to do is they're going to market themselves to you, just like Miss Khalifa said, oh, the version of me you see now, that's the real me. They're not going to tell you about all this other stuff. Like, women legitimately go through phases. When they're in their bad girl phase, that's who they are down to their very DNA. When they come out of that phase and they repackage themselves as the good girl, or maybe they're going to church, now they're the church girl, whatever they repackage themselves as, down to their genetic code. They fully believe this, and they're going to package themselves and market themselves to you as the good girl. They're not even going to market themselves as a reformed girl. They're just going to say, like Miss Khalifa, this is who I am. Take me like this. They don't want you to know any of that other stuff, right? But you don't get to do that. If you go out there and you're a felon, your record is there. It's hard to get your record expunged. If you have a sexual assault on your record, that's never going away. If people know you went down the rainbow road, which a lot of the Gen Zs are doing, guess what? You can't shake that. Men don't get to repackage themselves, but women do, or at least they try very diligently. So I'm not going to tell you to not fall in love. I'm just going to tell you, after the age of 25, almost every woman you run into is repackaging herself, and she fully believes her own lies. So even if you find out that she used to do this or she used to do that, I swear, she in her own mind believes I'm a whole other person. Here's the problem with this. When you get with her, you know what's going to happen. She's going to revert back to what she used to be. They always go back to default mode after a while. And that's why you never save them. You just walk away.